high density planting. In fact, I have made the topic in such a way, it is called ultra high density planting system, prospects and problems. Whenever any new technology comes, there will be some issue also. So that's why I chosen like this. Hope it will be interesting to you. And all of you know that high density planting, we all learned even 1980s when we were students, 70s and all, we all learned about high density planting. Only at that time we thought it is possible in crops like apple, plums, peaches, etc. And nobody thought about this technology in evergreen crop like mango. And once a group of farmers from this Theni area approached me whether we can go for close planting so that we can take up higher yield per unit area. At that time, we searched the literature and other things and found that in North India, particularly this Uttarakhand, in Pantnagar, as well as IRI, they did some basic work, but it was also not pursued in the context of maintaining the canopy system. So from that day onwards, under my leadership, some of the students were given this problem. Also my co-workers, other things we did all work. Now we are very confident about this system, namely high density planting as well as ultra high density planting, which I will be sharing with you now. And all of you know this mango, the king of fruit, is our Indian fruit. And it is our average productivity is about 6.5 tons to 7 tons, something like that is the statistics says. But a country like Israel, which has introduced mango from India and the nearby South Asian country, they are able to get up to 30 tons per hectare. Why there is a wide difference between these two, I mean, our country as well as this country? If you analyze, there are many reasons for it. One is we have this very poor orchard management. People think that mango means just plant and forget. No operation is done. Particularly, there is no water and nutrient management at all in most of the plantations. Then another thing is existing spacings are very wide. If we go to this Theni area and the Perikulam and the other traditional area, you can see the plants were planted at the time 40 feet apart, wide spacing. Then the plants are having dense canopies. In fact, once a team from Israel came and remarked the canopy of tree as a shade tree. That means it gives only shade, not the fruit. That's a bad remark they have made, and which also results in poor sunlight interception. So only the top portions, there is some light, that the light is not at all penetrating. With the result, there is lack of proper ventilation and higher pest incidence. All these causes leads to poor productivity. So the causes we have known, these, if we take up suitable measures against these factors, definitely we can increase the productivity. So with this background only, now this is taken up. So two challenges: poor orchard management, particularly water and nutrient. We'll have to go for drip fertigation. Another one is widely spaced. With the result, the plants are not good, and I mean we are not having adequate population. Other things. That's why we are recommending high density planting system with proper canopy management practices. This is how we actually approach this system. So here, if you, before going into the system, you have to say like this: what happens to the mango under tropical conditions versus North Indian conditions or subtropical conditions? Say in India, in the South Indian conditions, it experiences continuous growth. Normally, we can see new flushes coming up in 2 to 3 times in a year. With the result, canopy management is very essential. Whereas in the North Indian conditions or any subtropical conditions like Israel, the climate itself which checks its growth. So with the result, less canopy management is required in those areas. And whenever we talk about high density planting or ultra high density planting, these things are very, very essential and they are interrelated. Canopy management, then drip and fertigation. These two, if you strictly follow, then only the success of ultra high density planting or high density planting will be there. Otherwise, it is, say, if you follow only high density planting system without a canopy management or drip and fertigation system, then the system will be a futile exercise. So here I've just compared what is required between a normal system of planting and ultra system of planting. The planting material, say in the market it is available, approach grafting and softwood grafting and other double grafting and all in Karnataka and other area. So any plant material can be used. Whereas if you go for ultra high density planting, only softwood grafted material should be utilized as the starting material. Then formative pruning and annual canopy management. That is the initial pruning and subsequent maintenance of the canopy. Yes, not so required for normal pruning, whereas under the ultra high density planting, it is a must. Drip fertigation, not so required, whereas under ultra high density planting, it is a must. So these are all our recommendations based on the experiments conducted over many years. So with this brief, I am giving the system of ultra high density planting for the betterment for getting higher yield. So here, this system of ultra high density planting, when compared to the normal one, you can see more than 10 times the number of plants per unit area. Spacing, actually, through experiments, we have compared whether 3 into 1 meter is good, 3 by 2 is good, or 4 by 2 is good. In fact, 4 by 2 accommodates 500 plants per acre, 674 in the case of 3 by 2. But these two yield are good, but for convenience sakes, maintenance of weeds, other things, the use of implements, movement of the small tractor and all, this 4 by 2 is best. That is why we are recommending now 4 into 2 spacing, accommodating around 500 trees per acre is the best one, as it permits mechanization as well as it is recommended for commercial cultivation. So what are all the varieties which is recommended? Because India has got more than 1,000 varieties, people say. Commercially, more than 100 varieties are there. As far as South India is concerned, Bangalore, Banganapalli, Alfonso, Salem, Bangalore, and Imapasan. These varieties can be recommended for ultra high density planting because we have to do repeated pruning. The plant should respond to pruning. Also, while pruning, it should not invite any pest and diseases. Similarly, for the Maharashtra and central part, say Gujarat and other places, we are recommending Ratna, Malliga, Amrapali, and Kesar. These varieties we are recommending under this cultivation. So this is the planting material I am suggesting to start the planting system in the case of ultra high density planting, wherein you can see 3 kind of flush at that type of place. So generally what they do is in the nursery, by curiosity, they buy these softwood grafted plants at the early stage itself. Then it will definitely lead to failure. Whereas approach grafting, if you plant, the plants will be very high, but all these formative pruning and all, it will not be proper to handle those plants. Then for ultra high density planting, whether soil and water, whether they are having any influence, certainly it has got some influence. So better you decide from this. soil quality, say pH is 6 to 6.27 means good. Anything around 6 to 7 point is good, and more than 7.5 is not very good for a commercial scale. Similarly, this organic carbon should be also higher, then sodium should be less, etc. And again, the water quality also is a matter, and I have given here the best range of average and good one. So initially, generally, good quality or average quality water is essential. So to start the planting work, see, normally we are recommending pit size of 1 meter into 1 meter into 1 meter. But you will ask whether when the system of planting is 4 by into 2, whether it is required. So to make it very easier, it is better we go for this kind of thing. That is, this is 4 meter between the rows. In the row, you have 1 meter trenches. Nowadays, the JCPs are cheaply available. So with that, you can dig out the trenches of 1 meter depth. Then this spacing will be 4 meter. Then this will be filled up with your organic matter, rich soil, whatever it may be, tank silt, so that we can start the plant. This is a typical case wherein a farmer is interested in going for ultra high density planting, but the soil depth is only 3 feet. I think some disturbances. Please, all of you remain muted. So here, what I did is, since the soil depth is only 3 feet, but mango requires 6 feet at least depth. So the raised beds are from this soil, it is completely excavated and a raised bed of 3 feet height is taken. Then it is planted. I am happy to inform that this kind of method also served as a very good method to start the plants under high density planting. So this is the different stages of pit taking. Then we are planting. Now this is 1 year old, like this. Another view like this. Now some progressive growers also uses as a mulch while planting, so as to have uniform temperature, soil temperature, that helps in quick growth. Also, it keeps free of weed. In between, we can easily do it and maintain it. This is also one of the methods. Now, very important thing I am going to tell is the formative pruning. So as I told you earlier, the canopy management is a must in the case of ultra high density planting, and it should start from the beginning itself. Here, first thing is when the plant is about to say 60 centimeter, that is our roughly 2 to 2.5 feet from the ground level, or about 4 months after planting, this must be pinched. That means this growing point should be nipped off by using the cicature, so that the top growth is arrested and it will permit growth of 3 healthy branches. So you have to allow 3 healthy branches. If it is well distributed, it is well and good. Otherwise, excess branch should be removed like this. This will start from the 4 months after planting. Then another 3 months after the first pruning, what is called as, we have been called as development of secondary branches. Here, when these primary branches, which we allowed 3 or 4, the first stage, when it obtains about a height of say 60 to 70 centimeter, you prune it at 35 to 40 centimeter at the old wood level, which will permit second stage of production of the side shoots. So assuming that we have allowed 3 primary branches, now it will produce into 6 branches it will have at this stage. This is the second pruning stage. Then third stage is, again you wait for 3 to 4 months depending upon the prune, then give a pruning at the level of length of 35 to 40 centimeter from the base below the whorl, so that now the branches are around 12 branches. So a plant which has got minimum of 12 and maximum of 16, if you allow, after third level of pruning, that is the initial training, that is the framework of these plants. And from there, it will produce subsequent branches that we have to maintain periodically. So here I have used the word whirl of leaf because if you see the mango grows, then it produces a number of leaves arising from one point, that is called whirl. Always pruning should be below the whirl, not above the whirl of that word. That is more important. This is another case wherein a farmer has pruned just near the whorl. So that's why all the shoots are arising very close. That is not good. What I showed in the first is, it is the right type of pruning, about 60 centimeter above the growth, wherein it has produced 2 or 3 very good primary shoots. Whereas here it has produced 4 shoots at the same level because it is pruned just below the whorl of leaf, which is not the correct method. Then, if you follow the method of pruning which I mentioned just now, so this will grow like this. This is the primary shoots, then secondary shoots. After about this is the plant which is ready for our bearing. By that time, it will take 1.5 to 2 years, roughly. Then, once it produces the tertiary shoots, we have to start pruning for fruiting at our record level. So why we are telling that this kind of pruning is left without pruning, what will happen is it will produce only 2 or 3 new shoots, which will end in the panicle. That is flower of the inflorescence. Whereas if you do pruning at this level, it will produce more number of side shoots so that more panicle per unit area we can obtain. That is the idea. And this is the young, well trained tree. So you see the sunlight falling on the center. That is a must for mango. Otherwise, what will happen is it will harbor lot of pests, and also it will lead to a lot of incidents of diseases. So this is the view of a well-maintained young plantations, say about 3 or 4 years old. And now, if it is properly maintained, it will flower like this. And the height is about 5 to 6 feet maximum. Then this is another view of a well-maintained ultra-high-density plantations. You see more number of panicle per unit area. Naturally, more fruits will be there, which I will show in the subsequent slides. This is in one of the farms wherein it is well-maintained. See, this is the maximum 6 feet like this, that all are within the reach of our harvestable stage. Here, what happens is we can target any spray very easily, and also harvesting is easy. A labor can pluck it. Otherwise, the conventional method, people have to climb up and they will drop the fruits, leads to so many pre-harvest problems, etc. Whereas here we can do it, and also it's also well exposed to the sunlight. With the result, the color will be also good, size, everything will be well maintained. And our experience is that under the ultra-high-density planting system, it will start bearing from 3rd year, and depending upon the variety, you can allow 35 to 45 fruits per tree. Sometimes if it excess, you will have to do some sort of thinning, hand thinning. And if you follow this, we are able to get a yield of 2 to 2.5 tons per acre at the 4th year. It gradually goes up to 8th year. Now, the originally planted plantations are nearing 18 years old, wherein our average yield is more than 10 tons. That is, whereas our average yield in India is 2.4 tons. So, there is a possibility of quantum jump of 3 to 4 times we are able to maintain, get the higher yield in the case of mango following this system. So you see the growth, very easy to harvest, and also you can monitor the growth, etc. stages like this. So as I told you earlier, the formative pruning I have explained. The real pruning technique I will explain now here. So see all the branches which are having the remnants of the floral, that is after harvest, there will be some things, some remnants will be of the panicle will be there. Below that, 2 to 3 centimeter or 1 to 2 inches below that, we'll have to cut it. Then only it will produce more number of shoots. Say here, I have given how it has some 5 or 6 side branches have come after pruning the bearing tree. See here, you can see typically this is the place I have pruned. It has produced lot of shoots. Very close view of the shoots I'm giving. This is another view. You see here we did pruning. It has resulted in the production of more number of shoots. Then these shoots will end in a panicle in the subsequent season. Say this is how you can see more number of panicle per unit area. And while pruning, say after about 5 years, things, you need not go by the typical individual searching of the shoots. Other things very difficult, because commercial scale 2 to 3 acres, if you want to do 500, 600 plants, are very, you just apply the pruning saw and go on pruning at the level of 5 feet or 6 feet, as the case may be, like this, wherein 50% of the shoots will be receiving the normal pruning, which I recommend. Similarly, side shoot also you can do it. So with this, only thing is you have to immediately after pruning start applying this copper oxychloride, because once it is exposed, it is likely some fungus, other things may gain entry. To prevent that, immediately you have to apply copper oxychloride paste. Then you may ask, what is the type of or level of pruning for the bearing tree? Actually, we have conducted a series of experiments, say about 3 to 4 years in these plants. Different level we have applied, say light pruning, medium pruning, severe pruning, etc. Then we found that if we give first year 30% level of pruning, that is called past season, that is a light pruning. See here, I have written the word removal of 30% growth of the past season. Past season, what I mean is the previous season it might have produced and got matured and turned into a brown color. That shoots will not have any green color. Whereas here I have given the right side 50% removal of the past year's growth. That is ahead of this. Suppose if I say now it is 2021 July, we are there. If we go for 50% means we will be removing the shoots which has come up for maturity in the year 2020. Whereas here it is last season, that is probably January, February grown shoots. So that is the difference. So past season shoots 30% or past season year growth 50%. Alternately, if we follow, the plant height can be easily maintained up to 6 feet. That is the ideal one for all purposes. This is the experiments we have conducted before pruning, how it was. That is a light pruning. After harvest, you see, we are maintain the height, flowering, and giving the yield, etc. So, pruning part we have completed. That is, identity plant system requires, I told you, canopy management. Canopy management includes 2 parts: early formative pruning, that is important. Then subsequent annual canopy management, that also I have completed. Now, next one is the drip fertigation. This is also very, very important. So if a farmer says, I want to go for ultra planting, I will do canopy management, but I will not go or I will not adopt drip fertigation, then this cycle is not complete. He will be a failure farmer only. So drip fertigation is very, very important. And I need not emphasize the importance of drip fertigation. But here, what happens is, in the case of mango, we have found that water saving is up to 50%, fertilizer saving is up to 30%, and saving in power, labor, etc. we can achieve. So here, for mango, the water requirement almost we have standardized for different age of the plants. Irrespective, it may vary here and there. First year, we require about 1 liters per day. Maybe during the high operation day, you may increase to 1.1 liter, other thing. During the rainy days, you can cut short, but average, I'm telling, 1 liter. Then in the case of second year, you may require 3 to 4 liters per day, depending upon the other thing. Third year, around 8 to 9 liters. Once it starts bearing, we may require anything around 15 liters per day per plant, I'm telling. So water is also very, very important for mango for adopting this aedes planting. Then we are rationalizing the fertilizers over the growing season. The conventional method is after harvest, people will be applying in the month of July, August. Some people apply in the month of November. But here, fertigation, the schedule is set in such a way that fertilizers are applied almost 9 to 10 months in its in its whole life, so that the efficiency of the fertilizers will be very good, and also yield will be very good. So these normally we recommend in the case of mango for the ultra-high planting, each plant should receive 120 gram of nitrogen per day per year, 75 grams of phosphorus, and 100 grams of K. But you remember that we are not omitted farmyard manure. This is very, very important. People think that drip fertigation means we need not apply any of the organic fertilizers. Organic fertilizers are very essential. They have the chelation effect. Then only the effect of fertigations will be good. In the absence of farmyard manure or in compost application, the response of applied fertigations will be very less. So these fertilizers are spread across different seasons, and we have worked out, say in the case of first year, you see July to September, we have to give in weekly interval, 12 times we have to give the various fertilizers given. For a mature tree, you see June to August, 12 weeks we have to give. Then September 4, why we are come down to 4 means I will tell later, because that time some rain will be there, and also that is the time we have to give some sort of stress for the plant to arrest the growth. Then January to March is again the plant will be, the fruit set has to undergo maturity. So 12 weeks we have to give. Just before harvest only, people will withdraw this kind of irrigation. And this is a very important figure people should understand. See, normally after harvest, imagine that a variety which we grow, say for example, Alfonso or Bangrapalli, we are harvested in the month of May. Immediately after harvest, in the first week of June, we have to prune it, as I indicated earlier. Then whole of June, July, August, and part of September. So nearly 3.5 months, you encourage the vegetative growth. That's why I have told you, immediately after pruning the shoots, just like I have mentioned earlier, it will start producing the new side shoots. So from each shoot, each pruned shoot, there will be a lot of 6 to 7 new growth will be there. So this vegetative growth has to be encouraged very vigorously. For that only, we need to give that proper irrigation coupled with fertigation. That will go nearly for 3 months or 3 to 3.5 months. Then left to as such, the plant will be growing continuously. That we don't want. We want to arrest the growth, stop the vegetative growth, because it has gained up required growth, that vegetative growth should be converted into productive shoot. Say this is the mechanism. Actually, why earlier when most of us might have learned that mango is a alternate bearer. Why? Because means when the situation is favorable, a shoot will take 8 months to maturity. So before the season, that is the month of December, normally flowering is there. The plants, most of the branches might not have got the required maturity. So that year it will turn into a half year. So here we are not bothered about half year on year. All the shoots we are encouraging the early growth vigorously by adopting irrigation and fertigation. But after about September, the middle, we have to stop it. How do you stop it? Apply the chemical, namely the hormone, namely baclobuterol. This baclobuterol, what happens is, it arrests the synthesis of gibberellic acid. A vegetative growth is promoted because of the GA production in the growing shoots. That you stop by applying the baclobuterol. That is the science behind it. So if you do it, the growth, that shoots which have grown for 3.5 months will start differentiate into flower bud initiation and differentiation in the month of October, November. Then it is ready for flowering. During this time, November, after the end of northwest monsoon or other things, you don't give drip fertigation for 1 month. So this 1 month stress is required. Also at that time, after the northeast monsoon, there will be a drop in night temperature, other thing. The plant will definitely flower and produce fruits. So flowering December, January, depending upon the cases, then within about 3 to 4 months, it is ready for harvest. So the crucial point is, after pruning, you encourage the growth by proper irrigation and fertigation. Stop the growth by applying what is known as baclobuterol, which is converting vegetative bud into flower bud. For which, as I told you earlier, baclobuterol, why we are recommending is this will ensure assured flowering. After developing the, say, more number of vegetative shoots, we don't want the vegetative shoots to remain as vegetative. Convert vegetative into flowering. Then uniformity in flowering, earliness in flowering, and also, as I told you earlier, there will not be any alternate bearing. Ultimately, it increases the yield. See, the recommended baclobuterol, which is available in the form of Cultar or some other things other companies are manufacturing. Normally, for high density planting, it is about around 2 ml per plant we have to give. These 2 ml, you can take it in 2 liters or 4 liters, doesn't matter. But each tree basin should receive only that much quantity of 2 ml of baclobuterol. This is very, very important. That is the month of September. And so I have given the here, better give it in the other. Then some cases we can go up to 3 ml, but not more than 3 ml. Third year it is 1 ml. Second year, the fourth year, 2 ml or maximum 3 ml only from the 5th year, 6th year onwards. So immediately after this one, we should not miss irrigation. Continuously irrigate for about 15 days. Then only this particular hormone will be absorbed easily by the plant. Now, next is, so if you follow the traditional method versus the ultra high density method, what are the advantages? Now we can say. Say normally the traditional method, planting by 10 meter by 10 meter or for when some people adopt 10 by 5, etc. Here it will take 9 years for the regular bearing. Whereas ultra high planting, 3rd year it will bear, but regular bearing will get from 4th year. So that is the advantage of nearly 5 years. Then full potential, it will take 15 years in the case of normal planting, whereas from the 5th year, we can get the full potential because of the better management practices. Yield potential, as I told you, very high. Pruning, here and all very difficult in the case of normal planting, whereas ultra planting, since the height is manageable within 5 feet, say, or 6 feet. Very easy to adopt all these operations. And the quality control, very difficult in the case of normal planting, whereas ultra planting, you can dictate the quality. So, and the yield is also very good, as I told you. Orchard commercial life, so far we had a history of 20 years. The present oldest plantations in Hyderabad, but we have got no report of any bad damage. I am very confident that we can go for another 10 years. So nowadays the tradition is, or the trend is, not to wait for 100 years. Get maximum yield in the shortest span of life, then switch over to other crop or replanting wherever required. So this is the view of a full view of bearing tree under ultra planting. This is, I think, variety Bengaluru here. Very, and another thing is, in the case of Bengaluru, we can also go for off-season. Say the pruning technology, we have to change it. The application of baclobutasol has to be different type of apply, because in the month of January, February and all, if you have this Bengaluru, the market, each fruit cost about not less than 5 rupees in some of the areas. That's why this is a very amenable variety for off-season. Then Totapuri or Imapasan, it's a very delicious variety. That is also amenable for high density planting. Suppose a person is having old plantations, can he get or convert his orchard in ultra planting? Yes, he can do it. This is the existing orchard, that spacing of 10 by 10. You please, the intercrop, alley spaces, we can go for 4 into 2 meter. At that time, we can do what is known as rejuvenation planting. That is, rejuvenation pruning of the old trees, so that this will also match with the existing plants. See here, I am giving an example of, this is pruned at 3 feet. Say old plantations can be converted easily. Now these alley spaces and all, we are converting into ultra planting. This is how we are now doing at our ARS, Agriculture Research Station, Bhavan Sagar. About 10 acres we are converting into ultra planting in the existing plantations, wherein we are pruned at 5 feet from the ground level. This is, I think, 4 feet. And the only thing is, they have to do some thinning of the shoots. So this will also again last for 20 years. Only thing is that plants which are severely affected by stump borer, you have to uproot. Otherwise, it will be a good starting material for other. Then some of the diseases and pests we are coming across. So this mango fruit fly and all, now the pheromones lures are there, which we can control. But these kind of diseases or pests are relatively less in the case of ultra planting, because of our repeated pruning and exposure to the light and other things. Also, the instance of anthracnose. Say normally in any big plantations, we go the old method, there will be a lot of diseases will be there. Whereas in the case of ultra planting, all these pests and diseases can be easily managed. So this is something like stats are given, which may vary better. Now, I will give some canopy management case study. So whether high density planting is successful or any interior correction has to be done, all those things we'll see. Actually, this is one case wherein I have visited the plantation is 12 to 13 years. It is not in India. It was in Ethiopia. The spacing is 7.6 meter. Soil depth, everything is very good. It is purely under rainfed condition. But problem is, because of the vigorous growth, the plants were vigorous, more growing straight, and totally sunlight, everything's with the result powder mildew, white scale, which is a rare pest in India, whereas there it is anthracnose, everything is very, very severe. This is how the plantations looks, very close, very fertile soil. So fertile soil is also not required for mango. That's why I'm telling. Only mediocre soil is required. More fertile means more vigorous. More vigorous means more vegetative growth. That will bring more shade. All pest and disease will be more. So what I did was here to make these plants, I did partial pruning. That is mainly expose of the trees to the sunlight to prevent the incidence of disease, etc. And since they are planted at 6 meter close, what I did initially was alternate trees were pruned with this method. Say rejuvenation of pruning, I adopted alternate pruning. I given the then afterwards what level, because it's a very vigorous. I tried 4 feet from the ground level, 6 feet from the ground level. Then subsequently the shoots which are coming out are tipped at 6 feet. Sorry, 3 feet from the ground level, 8 feet at the ground level, 10 feet at the ground level. Like this, different combinations I have put, and I have given like this. Say this is so. In a high density planting, alternate trees were pruned at this type, 6 feet. The new shoots are cut at 3 feet level. Similarly, another one is 4 feet, 2 feet above it, like this. See, the result was very good. Not only this particular tree, which I cut, has also come to flowering. The nearby trees, because it is exposed to the sunlight, it's also started flowering. That is the result of this high density planting conversion into normal planting. Another case study I'm telling is wherein they studied high density plant. They are planted at 5 into 5 meter. Drip system is there, but no canopy management. So that means until about 5 to 6 years, no pruning is done. No formative pruning is done. They just thought 5 into 5 high density planting is okay. Drip system they provided, but no fertigation, no canopy management. What happened is after some times they could not manage it. Then they can they have removed alternate plants. With the result, they are maintaining as 10 into 10 meter spacing. That means from the high density planting to normal planting, they have to switch over because of their fault in not adopting the canopy management practices. So that's why I told you, ultra high density planting means you have to follow definitely pruning as well as drip fertigation. Then another case study. This I am telling, this I have seen at the Center of Excellence in Mango that is available in Kolar district, Karnataka, wherein I happened to visit as an expert in one of things. There, they planted in 3 by 2 meter spacing. Okay, that is what we recommended. But what happens is, even after 3 years, the officials informed me, no bearing at all. I was wondering, then when I watched the plants, no for proper formative pruning, drip irrigation they are giving at 15 days. What I told earlier, drip irrigation is a must. Every day we have to give 1 liter for first year plant and 2 to 3 liters from the second year onwards and around 8 liters from the third year onwards. But they, just like the conventional method, they're conducting and providing water through drip. That is why, and third year plants doesn't show as third year 3 years old when I visited. So I found that no pruning was, formative pruning was done. I demonstrated this pruning to the all officials of the that Center of Excellence. See, then subsequently there was a improvement in the within about few months. Now they are adopting high density planting with proper management practices, which I listed earlier. Now, see, we are keeping the plants under controlled or under our controlled growth by repeated pruning. Whether any dwarfing rootstock is available, just like in the case of apple, you have dwarfing and malignant rootstocks, MM9, all those things are there. That's why we are able to have high density planting in the case of temperate fruits like apple. And entire Himachal Pradesh, there is a massive program of converting normal planting to ultra high density planting now, the recent 5 or 6 years. What happened in the case of mango? Though Indian Institute of Horticulture Research is recommending Vellai Columban, practically this is not available in the market. So through the Center of Excellence in Karnataka, they have introduced Israel rootstocks Cyber 4-9, 13-1. But this 13-1 is not a dwarfing rootstock. It is a rootstock which is recommended for high pH area, say, or a problematic soil like a sodic soil or alkaline soil. This is recommended. It's a polymer rootstocks. We have recently introduced these rootstocks in our Horticulture College Research Institute, Sriakulam, wherein I have seen the growth is excellent, and we have grafted using all commercial rootstocks. I think within another 3 or 4 years, we will be able to give very good results. At the same time, we are also now multiplying these polyamine rootstocks. I do not know about this performance, Cyber and 4-1, and we have also requested our scientists to visit this Kora center and bring some rootstocks of Cyber and 4-9 so that we can work out its real rootstock effect in the years to come. So thank you.